All right, let's talk about college. There's some really interesting stuff going on in the college space. People know I care a lot about this issue. I wanted to give a big shout out. It's a big show for the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal came out with a new ranking system, which I really commend because it's really important for people who are trying to evaluate if college is worth it, whether it's worth it, and what college to answer a couple of basic questions. What we all know already is about student debt, and of course, student debt and tuition is astronomical. So the way that people even justify debt is a single question. Can I actually make enough money in order to pay this off and in a reasonable time frame and also make decent living and better prospects than if I hadn't gone to college at all? For many majors, for many universities, there have been on the wrong side of that trade, of millions and millions of people. But for some places, it is worth it. So how do you identify? One of the biggest problems with student debt in particular, the borrowers who are the most screwed are the people who take out loans from college, don't graduate on time or don't graduate at all, and who have a huge amount of student debt and don't get the wage premium. So what the Journal did is they created this new ranking system. Let's put it up there on the screen, where the vast majority of the weight in this ranking system is, will this university push you to graduate on time, actually have an on-time graduation rate? And number two, will it have a good wage premium over the average high school earner wage? What they came up with is a good list, which they say Princeton University, MIT, Yale, Stanford, Columbia, Harvard, University of Pennsylvania are in the top 7. But from there, that's where actually things start to get interesting. Amherst College, Claremont McKenna, Babson, Swarthmore, Georgetown University, Vanderbilt, Vandy, Lehigh University, University of Florida, Duke University, Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology, the California Institute of Technology, the New Jersey Institute of Technology, Brigham Young University. What they point to in their college ranking systems, Krystal, is that they are able to show that these universities, and of course, look, Ivy League and all that, the wage premium, we've all known about that. So it's not a surprise for the top 10. But to see somebody like Babson in number 10, okay, why? So I did a little bit of digging. Babson is one of those colleges where they require freshman courses on business. They actually place you inside of real businesses from a very early on
Oh,
age.
interesting.
They make you a really good manager. It's like a targeted college. And the people who go there, their pitch to you is like, we not only are going to get you a job, you're going to learn how to run a business from a very, very young age. And and now that you and I do this, it's hard. It's a real skill set. To be able to get that when you're 20, invaluable. So people like Claremont McKenna as well, even Amherst, some of these smaller liberal arts colleges, it's not just engineering that's coming out from these. It's targeted, actual working with people to develop their interests early on, line them up with a genuine skill, and then put them into a robust alumni network to get them into a decent, high-paying job. And really what came through, I think, in terms of the colleges was that if things do align for you, you can make some pretty good money whenever you graduate from one of these institutions. So just to give everybody an idea, they have the wage premium here. Princeton University, their average graduate for their average graduate is making $83,000, almost more than the average high school graduate yearly salary. Whenever they graduate, that's a lot of money. It's over $100,000. MIT, of course, technology field. But as I mentioned about Amherst, I mean, they're making $51,000 over the average earner. Babson is making almost $1,000 more so. So what are we learning from this? Is that it's about skill, and it's about realigning that skill with your graduation on-time rate, racking it up and putting it against debt, and thinking about your long-time actual premium.
Yeah.
When you put those three things together, that's where college is worth it. I've always said this. I think way too many people go to college. Many people go to and study things that just don't make any real economic sense. And so this is a great way of actually putting it together where the stars really align for graduates, where it's way more so worth it than if you were just going to go to a trade school in the first place. I'm a huge fan of trade schools. I think we should vastly fund more so. Whenever I posted this, actually a lot of people who work in the trades were like, I make more money than that picking up garbage. And I was like, great, I'm happy about that, actually. So people should have that available to them. But for those who are considering it, this is a great way to actually look and to evaluate college. And I think a lot of people are kind of waking up to what I was describing, just the generic idea of like the tick in the box, like I'm going to take out 100K in debt and go to college. We shouldn't do that anymore.
I think this information is just very useful.
It's super useful.
And I was initially a little uncomfortable, frankly, because First of all, I think, people are more than just what their earning capacity is. And I also think that the whole point of an education isn't just to be able to cash in on that education.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
But they acknowledge that. I mean, they say that the scores are based on 3 factors. Student outcomes account for 70% of the rankings. That's what Saagar's been talking about. Basically, like, how much does it cost and how much are you likely to earn? The learning environment is 20% and diversity is 10%. And they broke down for people who are evaluating college based on other criteria than just like, okay, what am I likely to earn if I go to the school and how much is it going to cost me? They have other lists that focus on social mobility ranking. How does that's something we looked at before.
Love that. Yeah, the City College of New York is a big
That's right. Which colleges do the best at elevating like working class people into the upper middle class? Like if you want upper mobility, what's the best college to go to? They have a student experience ranking just for if you're looking, for that real college life experience. You can look at that as well. And so I did feel like they took a sort of wholesome view of this. I think there are a lot of different reasons why people go to college. Increasingly, and I actually think that this is sad, people view a liberal arts education as basically a luxury
it is a luxury.
For students whose families are wealthy enough that they don't have to worry about what salary they're going to earn when they come out of college. And I do think the reason I say that I think that's sad is because I do think that there is value to education and learning about, history and great works of art and literature beyond just, can I convert that into a salary? But given how much pressure there is on, millennials and now on Gen Z, just to be able to survive, we're just talking about the cost of housing, I think, increasingly that's the primary focus of students going into college is like, is this going to be worth it? What am I going to get out of this experience? How quickly can I get through college so that I can get into actual earning and convert this investment I'm making into myself into actual dollars and an ability to live? I think that's, the reality that people are living in now. And it's great to have some information that helps people to sort those things through because it is very complex and it's very difficult to do this kind of evaluation on your own.
It's nearly impossible, actually, because a lot of this data is actually very difficult to find. And it also fits very neatly with, there's a reason why Gen Z increasingly does not look at college as a good trade. So we have that. We can put this up there on the screen where they go into a little bit of the detail about how people feel about this. And one of the reasons why is that college tuition from 2010 to 2022 has risen an average, quote, of 12% per year, while overall inflation only increased on average 2.6% per year. Today, it costs $104,000 on average to attend a 4-year public university and $223,000 for a private university. That's completely unhinged and insane, especially if you were borrowing all of that up to the hilt. And then lo and behold, let's go to the next one here, guys, please. Quote, the widening gap between the value and the cost of college has shifted Gen Z's attitude toward higher education. A 2022 survey by Morning Consult found that 41% of Gen Zers said that they tend to trust U.S. colleges and universities at the lowest percentage of any generation. I'm really glad to see that. It's very important. As I said, you can make, if you're just looking for work-life balance, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can find in the trades or not having to go into a college education. That doesn't mean you need some education. You still do. There are a lot of different certifications, other things that you can go about. I know that there are a lot of plumbers and other people living very meaningful and great lives. And the reason why is because they get to start their own work schedule. Sometimes they get to own their own business. There's a huge amount of upside potential too, if you're able to not only master the trade, but also master the business side of this. The point though is that people are starting to wake up to that. Whereas I think our generation, Krystal, the millennial generation, very much was like the liberal arts education is not only an attainable goal, it's a noble goal. And while I don't think that that's wrong, I do think it is ultimately, I do believe it is a luxury good.
Pushing everyone to college is really, it was really a neoliberal era thing where it's like, we're going to take the responsibility away from the government and push it onto you. And also, by the way, the costs are going to be pushed onto you. And, you are responsible for making sure you're able to make it in the workplace and earn a decent salary. And if you are a good girl or boy and you follow this program and you go to college, then you're going to be set up for a solid middle class life. For many people, that ended up being a lie. I mean, especially for people who graduated out into the Great Recession, but even, people who are graduating out into this economy are finding the same thing, and especially in terms of those basic building blocks of a middle-class life. So they took on all the debt. They did the thing that, they were told they were supposed to do, and then they still find themselves screwed. So not surprising that Gen Z is taking a different approach or has a different view of what the college experience should be, or whether or not they even think that that is for them.
Yes, and my last thing I'll say about this is stop prestige hunting. One of the most important takeaways from this thing was that places like Brown University, it ranked number 66, even though it's in the Ivy League.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they don't make any money. It's the classic example of I took out a ton of debt, studied a major which wasn't all that useful, and then wasn't really able to get a job where it paid out. Johns Hopkins was number 99, which is pathetic.
That surprises me, actually.
It's not. I mean, I'm sure if you just did engineering or bio degrees or whatever, I think it'd be different, but that's not where a lot of their money comes from for their students. So read and listen carefully. And, also take advantage of opportunities if you have them. I'm looking at this, University of Florida. If you live in Florida, you don't need to pay a ton of money to go somewhere else. You can have a great school experience, you can have football, and you can get a decent job. Places like Babson, Claremont, McKenna, any of these other places where it's a little bit more accessible, just, check it out. Not everything is just a prestige hunt, and you don't have to check a box for your parents or your grandparents or any of those things. This is mostly my monologue to the Indian parents.
I was going to say, we need to get Chris Matthews in here to talk to you about your tiger mom.
Yes, my tiger. The thing is, I did not even have a tiger mom. It's a funny thing, but I mean, I know a lot of people who did, and without fail, it actually really didn't work out.
That was one of the funniest moments of that interview.
It was funny. He's like, you know what that's like? I was like, yeah, I mean, yes, I guess. Being around other Indian people, sure.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.